Hi, so let's discuss probability. Now, what is probability? Probability is basically finding out the likelihood of an event happening, right? Any event, let's say if you toss a coin, finding out the probability of getting a head. Let's say if you uh, throw a dice, probability of getting, let's say, even numbers. All of these are finding out the likeliness, right? So what is the basic formula of probability? Probability of any event. So we will call that general event as E. So the probability of that event happening is P of E and is calculated by favorable outcomes of that event. That event can be anything that will be clearly given out in the question, divided by total outcomes of that, or total waste, basically total outcomes of that event, or the total waste basically. Now let's say, so let us see how to find the total outcomes. For example, the first one is a fair coin is tossed. Now this word fair is important. Now what is fair? Fair or unbiased means probability of all events happening are same. For example, for a fair coin, there are only when you're tossing a coin, there are only two outcomes, heads or tails, right? Ideally, both of them should have same probability. Okay, probability of heads and probability of tails should be same. Similarly, when a dice is rolled, probability of getting any of these numbers individually should be same, because the cube or the dice, basically which is cube, is symmetrical, right? So the same way, so that's why we use this word fair or unbiased. Just know that fair or unbiased means all outcomes are equally likely. So when a coin is tossed, the total outcomes are two, basically heads or tails. There is no third outcome. Similarly, when a dice is rolled, total outcomes are 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Similarly, let's say when you're shooting a target, there are only two outcomes. Either you hit the target or you miss the target. The probabilities can be varying. Okay, so understood, when a coin is tossed, total outcomes are 2. Now the event is getting a heads. Okay, the event is, you have to find out the probability of getting a heads when a fair coin is tossed. So you will see there are two outcomes, out of which how many outcomes are favorable? Out of 2, only one outcome is favorable. So the probability of that event, which is heads, happening is 1 upon 2. Similarly, for tail, there are two total outcomes when a coin is tossed, out of which favorable is only 1. So that is the basic definition of probability. You find the total outcomes first and then see how many of the total are favorable. Okay, so we'll solve an example, then it will be much more clear. If a fair dice is rolled, so when a fair dice is rolled, we have seen how many are total outcomes. Total outcomes are 6, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Find the probability of 4 sub questions. First one is getting an even number. So let's say total outcomes I denote by T and favorable by F. So out of this, how many are even? 2, 4 and 6. So probability of getting an even number when a fair dice is rolled is 3 out of 6 or 1 out of 2. Similarly, see, the event will change, but the total outcomes will be the same. When a dice is rolled, total outcomes are 6. Second one is getting a prime number. So again, for this, favorable will be, the first prime number is 2, then 3, then 5. Probability of getting a prime number, again 3 favorable out of 6 or half is the probability. Getting multiple of 3. So what are the 3 multiples we can see? 3 and 6. So multiple of 3 is 2 out of 6 or 1 out of 3. Getting a number 7. Is there any favorable outcome? No. Favorable outcomes are 0. Probability of getting a 7 is 0 out of 6, which is 0. That means that event is not going to happen come what may, right? So this is the least probability. The probability of any event, the least value is 0 when the favorable is 0. Now what is the maximum probability? Maximum probability could be 6 out of 6. Let's say probability of getting a natural number when a dice is rolled. All are natural. The probability of this is 6 upon 6, which is 1. Probability maximum value is 1. Probability minimum value is 0. Right? So the probability is always between 0 and 1 inclusive. That you'll need to remember. So we have already covered this. Yeah, so we have also seen the minimum favorable outcomes are 0 and maximum favorable outcomes are total outcomes. So the probability of any event will always be between 0 and 1, both inclusive. Okay, and one more thing is, let's say in this third question, the favorable outcomes are this, right? Multiples of 3, there are 2. So how many non-favorable outcomes are there? Non-favorable outcomes are 4, the remaining, right? So basically that's what is said here. You should also be knowing what is non-favorable outcome. So generally favorable plus non-favorable is total outcomes basically. An outcome is either favorable or non-favorable. Why is this important? Sometimes they will ask you to find probability of some event not happening. Okay. Probability of some event not happening. Let's say is event E is getting a multiple of 3. What is the probability of not getting a multiple of 3? That is this complementary. So the same way, favorable plus non-favorable is total outcomes. Probability of an event happening plus probability of event not happening is 1. For example, probability of multiple of 3 was 1 upon 3 or 2 upon 6. Probability of not getting a multiple of 3 is 4 out of 6. Right. So 1 upon 3 and 2 upon 3, the both will add up to 1. This is also is an important note. Okay, so if the probability of getting head on tossing a coin, see here they didn't said fair coin. That means this coin is biased. If it is a fair coin, heads or tails would have been 0.5 and 0.5. So if a probability of getting heads is 0.6, probability of getting the tail is 1 minus 0.6, which is 0.4. This is automatically understood. Similarly, if probability of hitting a target is 0.3, there's only one more probability, right? One more outcome which is missing the target. That is, 0.7. So these are the basics of probabilities that you should know. Probability is the likelihood of an event happening. The formula is favorable upon total. We have seen for coins, dice, and hitting or missing a target, what is fair, unbiased versus biased, and how to find the favorable and the total outcomes. So we'll discuss in the next video of probability about dice and some overlapping set theory questions, because these are also asked in the exam. So that's it in this video. I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.